What? We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We got two things to sign tonight, Mr. Martin. Why don't we sign them and get rid of them, so we make sure we get them done?
Are they in front of you?
No, I don't have them, but I presume they're in there.
First one is the proposed letter to the South Hadley Water Commission of Fire District.
You're okay with, we were the last time, right? Okay. It's up to you, Jen. You make or break it. Glenn and I have already read it at the last, like when we were out sick.
Oh, I've already read it. Do you want me to read it for everybody else? Or was it already read last meeting?
No, it wasn't read, so if you want to read
Okay.
it.
I'll read it then so everybody knows what we're doing.
Okay.
February 10th, 2020, Board of Water Commissioners, South Hadley Water District Number 1, 438 Granby Road, South Hadley, Mass. 01075, regarding Route 202 Water Project. Dear Commissioners, at the meeting between our boards regarding the proposed Route 202 water main project, there were some additional work that you were requiring prior to committing water to our project. As of this date, we have had Ty and Bond perform a hydraulic model study regarding the proposed water project. This has been completed. We also contracted Ty and Bond to perform a peer review of the proposed construction documents. This too has been completed. With the project now out to bid, and the additional work having been completed by us, our board would like to obtain a written commitment from the Commission for the provision of water to our project.
And a motion to sign it and send it?
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the proposed letter to the Water Commissioner, or Commissioners of South Hadley for Fire District 1.
I will second Glenn's motion.
Any more discussion on the letter? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Kathy. Or is it 4? I can tell Kathy wrote this one. And do you want to get rid of that one that we have on that zoning after we do this one next? Something on the census there? Okay.
There you go, Chris.
Next item is, as part of the annual census, or the deciannual census. Deciannual? 10 years.
Every 10 years.
It's deciannual.
Decade.
Is we have to verify that what they show as the town of Granby boundaries are correct. So they gave us a nice little map, and we review it, and we determine if what they show as the boundaries in the town of Granby are correct. Unless we decide to go and perambulate it, I'm going to say it's probably
I'm
correct.
going to say it's probably correct.
I'm going to say,
I mean-
did anybody look at it and certify it before we sign it?
Who knows?
That's what I asked.
You know, it doesn't give GPS points and stuff, so unless you go and perambulate and find your markers out in the middle of the woods. I would trust that they pretty much have it correct.
Okay.
It looks like Granby. Take a look.
You've lived here a lot. I've already looked at it. I have a
Just
soft
like the
copy.
maps I see.
I have an electronic copy.
Aren't you special?
No, I just read ahead. You know me.
I know.
Read everything ahead.
I know. I usually do. I haven't had time.
That's okay. Not, we all can't do everything.
Yes, we can.
No, it's impossible.
I can't tell you if it's right or wrong.
So basically, the highest elected official for the town has to sign it, which is the chair of the board.
So that means I got to cross Jen's name off.
I don't understand why it went to Jen.
Oh, I have no idea either.
So are you saying that the boundaries look correct, so you have to check that box.
I'm taking your word for the simple reason I have no idea, like doing the
Well,
markings.
I've never walked out in the woods to find them either.
Well, like I said, I'm
I
taking
don't
your
have to
word.
go find that white ash tree and
Well, you see,
that's near the stone wall, that's 200 feet or 200 steps from this, and
And that's probably how the boundary lines are written.
yes, they are.
yep, but, you know, as they say, GCAM don't lie.
We'll make Dave go do it. You got time for your, right?
Okay, I'm gonna
See you in
change
a
the
week.
name to mine from Jennifer. Do you want me to leave the email the same for Kathy, Leonard?
Huh?
I want to change the name from Jennifer to mine, because I said you gotta correct it, if you don't correct. Do you want me to leave the email for Kathy Leonard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, how did my name get on there?
And
They must have put names in a hat and just drew them that way. I don't know.
Fair enough.
leave Kathy there. And I'll put my middle initial just to please you, Chris.
That is how you appear on the ballot.
Yeah, but not no more. Today is the
10th.
10th.
Friday is Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you already got my stuff. I'm ahead this year.
What'd you get me?
I didn't get you nothing.
Right.
Granby, Mass. Make sure that was right. That's the only place, right, Chris?
Yep, that's the only place.
Okay, that one's done.
There you go.
Thank you. And then there's one final thing.
Yep.
Lou Berry had come in 2 meetings back.
All right, 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Regarding foresting the Dufresne Park area. And basically, there's a contract here with a John Edwards, who is a forester, regarding Chapter 61 stewardship and forester for the birds plan work order. Basically, the undersigned is the owner of 120 acres of woodland, more or less, in the town of Granby, and we request John Edwards to collect the data necessary for the submission of a Chapter 61 stewardship and forester for the birds plan, and to compile the data on the required forms for Chapter 61 plan stewardship and forester for the birds plan. For the above work, the undersigned agrees to pay John Edwards as follows: $0 at the signing of this contract, and $4,500 will be due and payable at the signing of the Chapter 61 stewardship and forester for the birds plan. John Edwards agrees that the amount due for plan preparation will be the same amount as awarded in the cost share award, excepting boundary painting, and that we agree to paint the boundaries for the property for an additional not to exceed cost of $420. Basically, the forest stewardship and forester for the birds plan work order is basically a grant. It'll be cover 100% of the cost for him to do all this, and basically all we'll have to pay him is $420 for
The boundary markings.
for painting the boundaries. So, does the board wish to
Make a motion. Or more discussion.
sign
Yep.
on the left hand?
On the
There's
left
two-
hand.
There's 2 copies.
All right, I will make a motion to sign the contract between John Edwards and the town for the Chapter 61 stewardship and forester for the birds plan work order in the
Well-
amount of $4,500.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on the forestry plan? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, Kathy.
Does Jay have to sign both copies?
Both copies, yeah. Just the left.
Just the left-hand side, Jay.
Okay. Make sure I sound the same way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
I think you just got my agenda. Thank
No,
you.
Chris stole it.
No, I sent it that way.
nice try.
Darn it.
Okay, that cleans everything except the wood pile, right, Chris?
Yep.
Nothing else to do. Okay, just to bring everybody up to date, at our last select board meeting, a individual complained about the wood cutting at the highway. Okay, Glenn and I both agreed that there should be some type of liability waiver signed by anybody on town property doing work, which is a common practice we do everywhere, and sometimes they even have to put a bond if they're a contractor. So that, we agreed on that. But Glenn and I didn't agree on the hours, and Jen was out sick, so that's why it was been put over to this meeting. You agree with that, Glenn?
Sounds about right.
Okay. So where do we want to start?
I'd like to ask David to join,
Come on up, Dave.
just so that everybody is aware. Just so everybody's aware, is the resident who came in was complaining that chainsaws are running 7 days a week between 7 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock at night. The individual who had attended the meeting also complained that it was affecting her health due to the fact, her health, due to the fact of the chainsaws running constantly. Additionally, she does work from home, so it affects her ability to do work at home. Okay. She was asking that the board would consider stopping it or reducing the number of hours so that she can enjoy her property and be able to work at home without a constant chainsaw running in the background.
And the only thing that I would say on that, our board only has jurisdiction because it's on town property. If these trees were on private property, this board wouldn't have anything to say about it. It would be the zoning board of appeals, because the bylaws already allow it. Well, I guess, Dave, you're in the hot seat now.
Can I ask a question first, Dave?
Sure.
Were chainsaws going between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. 7 days a week? I know you're not always
I
there,
don't
but-
know. I mean, I do know that there were a lot of people pulling wood out during normal working hours at our facility. After hours, I couldn't say. But to give you some basic background on where we are right now, I just gave Chris an update. As of last Friday, we had 650 trees marked on our GIS that needed to come down. To date, we have over 350 of those have already been removed, meaning that we're probably close to the halfway point. Number-wise, we're probably over the halfway point. However, every street that we've been on so far, we always find many, many more as we go along that are extremely damaged that need to be removed. So even though there's 650 on the list now, I expect that number to be over 700 by the time we get done up on Harris Street and a few other streets. Up until now, the people hauling the wood have been able to remove and keep up with us. Right now, we're on hold because of the weather. We stopped Northern, and in addition to that, we only probably have another week or two in our budget this year until we get more money after the fiscal year ends to continue with the tree work. We'll be totaling up all the invoices, and we will contract or hire Northern to come back for another week or two, depending on what's left in the budget. But that's about the end of it for this fiscal year, unless something else happens or somebody else gives us some more money. I don't see any more large amount of trees coming down between now and July 1.
So is what's already at the highway department gone now?
Oh, no,
Oh, there's still more.
there's still quite a bit.
Okay.
There's still quite a bit there. Our yard would have been filled 3 times over already if we had not been allowing people to take firewood as we go.
Okay.
Chris and I spoke about a few options to try to mitigate some of the noise this morning. I think that was a reasonable solution that we were talking. You want to go into that?
What I was suggesting is, instead of taking all the trees back to the highway facility in their wood pile, to maybe bring some loads to Dufresne Park. And where was the other site we were talking?
Well, we're talking Cooley, but that doesn't work at this time of the year. It's too wet. We couldn't get in there. Yeah, we couldn't get in there. No. So realistically, the park is probably the only spot on the Kendall Street side that we could get in.
We can't take trees and throw it on someone's private property.
Well, there was a previous select board policy that directed us not to allow it to go on private property, so, I mean, we'll bring it wherever if you guys change that directive.
Has there been, you may not know, has there been the same people going to get the wood repeatedly? Can we do something like a sign up for dropping trees?
We do that essentially when we're on the roads. If people say they want the wood, we'll leave it at their house, but it gets, trying to manage taking orders or something like that gets out of control, yeah. We're generating sometimes 8-10 truckloads of wood a day coming off of the sides of the road.
David and I also talked about if people wanted to, they could bring a trailer and he would load some trees on a trailer.
Yeah, especially now, because now we're slowing down with the actual physical work on the roads. So if people come during our normal working hours, we'll gladly load a truck or a trailer, and then there's no chainsaw work at our facility.
How big are the pieces that are currently at? And I apologize, I've been sick, I have not been down
No
that
problem.
way.
I mean, anything under 8 inches is getting chipped because it's too much labor intense for us to handle it, even though it's still legitimate firewood.
Lengths that we have out there right now.
Typically, anywhere from 8 to 10 foot lengths, and the diameters range from 10 inches all the way up to 4 feet or more. So there's some big pieces. It's been surprising, even some of the bigger pieces that I never thought people would be taking have been going. So they have been using it. It's beautiful wood. It's mostly all oak. Some ash. Some pine. The pine's way in the back because I know we're going to have to pay to get rid of that. But to date, we have not paid the contractors to remove any. It's all been going.
It's all been going through town
Yeah,
people taking.
town
Okay.
residents
And that's why
picking it up.
he uses money to get as many down so people don't lose their power.
Well, I'm happy that
Yes.
town people, they're paying the taxes, they're paying for it to be removed. If they're wanting to use it, I'm happy that they're able to. I prefer to do that than hire someone to take it away.
I agree.
But we need to find a solution that works for everybody.
And the other issue was, she had mentioned that the chip pile has been growing. According to David, that the chip pile pretty much stays the same size. Okay.
Most of the chips that we're generating from the removals in the last month or two were blowing off into the woods, because a lot of the problem areas we started were Burnett Street and Upper Chicopee Street, and there's not many residences there. We were just leaving the chip right on the side of the road. Generally, we do that as much as we can because we'll fill a truck in a matter of a few minutes, grinding, you're grinding the whole tree, basically. We'd be running loads back and forth all day long with the chip truck, and this saves us. We just leave it on the side of the road.
Are we also allowing residents to come in and get chips for mulch?
That's always been the case.
Okay.
Residents pull.
I didn't know if we had stopped for this project.
No.
So they're still able to come in.
Residents come all the time during the year. We assist loading some of that as well. If we're there, we'll load trailers or trucks with our loader, because it's a waste product that we don't have to pay or haul ourselves. I just as soon accommodate any resident that needs it, wants it. We see people typically going there weekly, at different times during the year, but mostly in the spring and summer.
Landscaping season.
Yeah, and typically if the pile gets too large, we'll bring some to our pit. We compost some and turn it into loam.
Okay.
So when you fill up the dump truck, and then you just drop
Yeah,
it in the yard?
we'll haul loads.
But I mean, not the mulch, the wood.
The wood,
logs,
yeah, we've been running 2 trucks, pretty much, a 550 and one of our bigger dump trucks. And like I said, we can, depending on the day and how, if we're in a real tough tree that's way over the wires or near a lot of obstacles, mailboxes and houses, it's a little slower, but we've had days we're taking up to 20 trees down in a day. And some of them are good size, I mean, 3-4 foot diameters, so there's quite a bit of wood that has been generated. I don't see, because of the budget-wise, it's not going to continue until after July 1 in any significant amount. There'll be another few days here or there.
Have there been any other residents complaining in the area? No, okay.
So I would say that we've probably generated 80 or 90% of what we're going to do this year. This fiscal year,
fiscal
with
year.
this, budget, and then we'll run out of money.
Well, we're still gonna have some, the wind blows it down or a car hits it or something.
Oh,
We
yeah,
have
there's-
no control over that.
There's always that.
But there's still a lot left in the yard now.
There's quite a bit in the yard, yeah.
So the question is how do we get it out of the yard and make everybody happy? That's the big question.
Well, that's why Chris and I were talking about not having to rehandle it. I mean, that really is
We don't
a
pay
cost burden to the
rehandle.
town, but if we bring some, as we generate the next batch, bring some to Dufresne Park, it'll definitely reduce the amount of noise at our facility. And if we offer it to people, telling them we'll assist loading it, that'll reduce the noise significantly as well. There'll be no chainsaws, they'll be just picking it up and putting it in their truck or trailer.
I see no problem with that. If somebody wants to bring a trailer, they want a load of wood and take it away, I could care less.
Yeah.
As long as they're a resident of Granby, I don't care.
The only other suggestion I was making too is that we just don't allow any chainsaws on Sundays. At least give one weekend
One
day
weekend day.
to have peace and quiet.
And Glenn wanted only the hours 7:30 to 3. Is that the right hours? In other words, what hours are you open?
7 to 3:30.
7 to 3:30. And by the bylaws, you can't do it unless it's between 8 and 9.
Do what?
Chainsawing.
No, I don't want any chainsaws.
The noise bylaw.
Yeah, the noise bylaw.
More or less talking about, that time is when someone's going there to load up a trailer or something like that. The yard's open, the highway department's open, and someone can go onto their property and they can load the trailers and stuff like that.
I think from what Dave says, they're going to need his assistance to load the size of the trees of their
Yeah,
trailers.
but they're there.
Not always.
Not usually if we're out working, if we're generating more wood or whatever, the whole crew is gone.
If they're not there, they can't pick up wood.
Who's gonna police that though, if no one's there from our facility? I mean,
Well, if you're on the property without permission to be there, that's what, you count that people follow the rules that we have. I mean,
Yeah, but we allow people at the highway department for other things when they're not there.
for what?
Drop off oil.
Drop-
Oil.
Yeah. How about pick up sand and salt before a storm?
Okay.
I mean, the people come and go.
But that's what we're talking about, the trees here. That's not, I'm
Well,
referring
I'm
to
talking about the
trees.
property.
Well, but I'm talking about when people come in to pick up the trees. That's what the whole conversation's about. I don't want you to have people then come in there and pick up the trees if they're not there, unless, I'm still concerned that people, those are big logs and stuff like that, they're really not gonna be able to pick them up themselves.
Well, I got the impression you didn't want anybody at that facility unless the people were working.
Dave runs his normal business, he runs his normal business day, and I'm not concerned with how that runs. I'm concerned right now with the trees. That's what our issue is right now. It
Can
sounds
we
like,
limit the amount of hours where they're able to cut?
We can do anything we want.
Well, I know, I'm saying to not
Yeah.
interfere with your placement if we don't bring them to do the next batch to Dufresne's. I don't know when you guys come back in and out.
what would be the concern if someone said, well, you can drop off a load at my house, and they sign off on a waiver that this is where it's going, this is where we're gonna drop it, and that's it.
Right, but I thought David said that gets a little too chaotic, because that was my first thought, was can we just find who wants them and
I
drop
think
them there?
I'm more or less talking about, if you have a dump truck full of wood, instead of someone coming to the yard and loading up a trailer and taking it out of there, or going to Dufresne Park and taking it out of there,
Just dump it on the way back.
if you just, if there's agreement made and they sign off on a waiver, because it's obviously, I'm assuming it's the same individuals that are coming in there, obtaining the wood and chopping up the wood, right?
So you're saying take orders to go drop wood at,
I'm not saying take orders. I'm saying if someone requests it, that, if we're looking for a place to drop it, and we don't have any, I mean, we're talking about now going to Dufresne's Park and start dropping wood there. Well, what's gonna happen 6 months from now when you get a whole big wood pile at Dufresne Park? It's not going anywhere.
I think the word would get out and it would disappear, just like it's disappearing out of our yard. I think it'll go pretty steady. I mean, for the last 2 months, if we didn't have the people picking up the wood, we would have been forced to either stack it, rehandle it, or pay somebody to haul it away.
If we were to drop it at Dufresne's, where would we drop it, in the field on the Kendall side?
It would have to be, yeah, that would be
In
the
which
only dry
case, we would
side.
have to make sure that it was gone in time for Charter Day, or our parking is now. So then, if it wasn't gone, we would have to move it again.
We would have to rehandle it or just pay somebody to get rid of it.
Let's try not to pay somebody to do anything right now.
In either location.
Free labor is good.
Yeah, yeah. If we can structure it so that it works for everybody, including us. I mean, I just don't want to put a real burden on us to take orders and then trying to coordinate all of that is difficult sometimes, and it doesn't sound like much, but when you're generating a bunch and you got crews waiting for you for that truck
You
to
got
be
your work
reloaded.
planned for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Just go to our facility, whether it's our pre-designated spot, dump and come back. It's so much cleaner if we do it that way. I would rather do that and then help people load if we have to.
Well, it would be easier to just, I'd say dump it at the highway department versus, because that's where the equipment is.
Yep.
To help people load their vehicles, because if you start dumping over at Dufresne's, you'd have to have the equipment over there. Right.
No, but people have been cutting
If the-
and loading themselves.
If we go to that, then you got the neighbors on Kendall Street complaining. That's gonna be the same thing.
I think it would be better just to keep it at the yard, because if you start spreading it everywhere, it seems like it'd be more manageable at the town facility. Because if it's at Dufresne's, then you're gonna have people complaining probably. Who's gonna monitor that, on the weekends or certain hours? But if you have it cutting for certain hours, like when the highway department's there, and like after 3 or 4 o'clock or something, no more cutting, put the signs up, and it's more manageable, I think. Because if you don't get rid of it at Dufresne's, the town's gonna have to go chase it. You're gonna be spreading yourself thinner than what you want, I think.
We have a concern about the wood, but I also have a concern for the residents with the noise. And I also think of too, is that some people do work from home, they're trying to carry on a business, and, I think we've got to be respectful for that too. And I also think about where the highway department is, that's residential. And then, it's almost like it's creating the highway department's there because the town can put it there. That's why it is where it is.
But also, I don't think limiting it to, you say 3 o'clock is your end of your day? 3:30. I think it should go on to at least 5, because what about the poor people that have to work Monday through Friday that don't get a chance to
I
get
agree
it?
with that. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
I am here because it personally impacts me. And it really impacts my health to have the chainsaws, multiple chainsaws going on. But I have talked to residents, and they also are concerned that this goes on whenever there's a storm. We didn't have a wood pile prior to the Halloween storm in 2011. You guys say it's not growing. It is, because there was never a wood pile prior to that.
That's not true. There was a wood pile closer to your house. We moved it at your request years
But
ago.
that pile is growing. You can see the color change. The thing is, people show up on the weekends to go haul away. That's not the concern. The concern currently is the noise. The multiple chainsaws, unregulated, going on, and you guys don't have a written policy. You refer to the bylaws, specifically which bylaw regulates wood cutting on the town. That's a policy thing. There is no policy saying that this is allowed.
Actually, you go to zoning bylaws, it is allowed between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m.
There? Which
Zoning
zone?
bylaws, you want to know exactly?
Yes, I do.
It's under section 5,
Zoning.
2 noise, and it defines on paragraph A.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's on the line, and I just took this for myself and highlighted it. I mean, it allows it. It allows blowers, sweepers, and anything. It has the decibel levels. Then it gives out, this shall not apply to power tools and equipment and so on.
In a residential area.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Well, it's in the bylaws.
Unfortunate. And what year was that?
This is as amended as May the 13th, 2019.
I think it's more referring to people that are cutting the grass, lawnmowers, and things like that.
And not this specific thing.
It talks about tools and that stuff. And then it talks about timber harvesting. And it talks about agricultural activity. Those are all exempt from any type of noise
I would
restriction.
very much like to see that. I don't think it pertains to this specific instance. You know what I mean?
But I use
Yeah.
a chainsaw in my yard. But
Yes.
I'm respectful of my neighbors. I
Yes.
do it after 9 o'clock, and I don't run it all
Yes.
day. But couldn't that be a compromise?
I would very much like a compromise. 7:30 on a Saturday morning is a terrible thing, and some of my
They should
neighbors
do it
were
after-
upset.
they
And
should
a
do
lot
it
of my
after-
neighbors
Jay,
don't
this is
come to
between
you.
us, not.
They don't come up to you and say,
No.
hey, this is bothering me.
Tell 'em.
Instead, I go around and they tell me, because they know I'm gonna go up to you. And when the yard waste day started, I went over to you guys going, come on. It says 9 o'clock, you guys are starting at 8:30, 8:45. You're
Okay.
not waiting till 9, you're doing the early bird
Okay,
special.
we've heard how
So,
upset you
I
are.
know, I am,
Let the
and
other
I'm
gentleman
trying-
speak.
I will in a moment, please, thank you.
I
I'm
thought I
just
ran
trying
the
to-
meeting, not you.
Jay, let her speak. Let her speak, Jay.
Okay. I just don't like being talked in that tone of voice.
I,
Let her speak, please.
I am trying to find out how long this is gonna go on. Every time we have a storm, we have guys show up later on. This wasn't going on when we first moved there. We've been there for 15 years. We didn't have people cutting wood when we first moved there. It's changed, and it's really taken over.
Well, we're trying to find a compromise right now because we have this issue with dead trees over power lines that we're trying to address so people don't lose their power during the storm. That is why we're cutting down. So it's an act of God. We can't stop the timber ash bugs from coming. We can't stop the gypsy moth caterpillars. They leave us the leavings. And we're trying to keep the people so they can flush their toilet more than once, because if they lose their power, they can't. And that's what we're trying to do. Now, at the same time, you have expressed concern, and you're the only resident that has expressed concern about the noise. Now, we're trying to find a way that we can equitably divide this stuff up so it doesn't overly cost the town more to get rid of it and keep everybody happy. But I know we're not going to keep everybody happy, but we're trying.
I understand.
Okay.
One of the issues here, I started cutting a couple of years ago, okay? And I asked Dave, they usually do 30 trees a year. I'm doing a rough number here, 30 trees a year, okay? Well, all of a sudden this year, we gotta do 700.
Yeah.
He was telling me Belchertown has to do 1,000, okay? We have to get these down like the gentleman says. So this year, obviously, we're only gonna get, let's say, half, okay? The amount of volume has multiplied by 12 times versus what usually happens. Now, last year when I was cutting wood there, right, I'd go and maybe I'd see a tree and I'd take, some logs and I take it, and then maybe a week later again, because he only has 30 a year. Now that we're doing 300, this isn't gonna be forever. Once they catch up on all the diseased trees, it'll go back down again. Unfortunately, for this year and next year, we have a lot, they have a lot to do. Now, he just made the statement, which is true. He's only got, what, a couple more weeks probably with a bucket truck to bring more in. So 90% of that, or 80% of that work is already done. So we just need to get rid of the wood that's already there and a few more loads. And by the way, hauling it out, I've asked him, every load we gotta haul out costs us $500. All right, so if we have 40 loads, that's 20 grand.
Okay, just from now on, please just raise your hand to be recognized.
I did.
I know you did, I didn't say you did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And state your name and address so
Oh.
the people on GCAM know.
I apologize.
No, that's okay, we just,
Robert Mikolajczyk, 237 Amherst Street, Granby, Mass.
okay.
But those are,
Yeah.
now, I'm also one of the early birds. I usually get started at 9 o'clock, okay? There was one day I got an early start, and I did start at 8 o'clock. I didn't know that was in effect,
Yeah, well,
okay?
nobody
But
knows everybody.
It was only one day at 8 o'clock, and I'm pretty regular. I think Dave will vouch for that. I was there 3-4 days a week, because I'm retired.
Yeah.
Okay, and the guys don't show up, as a rule, the rest of the crew, or whatever you want, the neighbors, till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, when this goes through, if it goes through, I will not start before 9 o'clock, and I only did it once.
Right, but I also don't want to see it limited to only the people who can get the weather retired.
No, I agree.
I'd like to some of the people that have to work during the week.
My only addition to that is I agree with the hours, 9 to 5, somebody getting out, and this has happened, I've seen guys come at 3 o'clock, 4
Yeah.
o'clock, they got out of work, will cut up, will grab a quick load and go home.
Right.
Being that you're there by your own mission frequently, can you tell us if there are days or times that are more popular, where more people are coming to take the wood?
Well, I don't know if Granby likes to sleep in or whatever, but they usually don't show up till like 10, 11 o'clock. But then,
I'm okay with
okay.
I wouldn't either.
Oh, well, I'm just, I guess 9 o'clock when I go there at night, I'm pretty much the only one there for about an hour or two.
Okay.
Okay, however, later on, I went back to see guys. It's actually a social hour too there, by the way. Well, 40 years ago, you met there on Saturday and the guys cut wood and, talk to town. The people do come after work, 3, 4 o'clock. If anything, if you did pass this, I would be concerned of not going too late in the day, like 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30.
It's getting dark now, I don't think people go.
Well, yeah, but it's getting later. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you my opinion. You know what I mean? To give the lady peace after, have a sit-down dinner, you want to have peace.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear the saws. That's my opinion.
Sure.
But the majority of it runs, I would say 10, 11 o'clock to probably 3, 4.
Okay, well, the gentleman back there had his hand up.
I'm sorry.
I was, I
Say your
live
name,
on
stand up and say your name and,
Michael Karukin, 79 Cold Hill. I was there, I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, and I went in there about 10 o'clock, and there was one other gentleman in there cutting wood at the time. He finished up, and he was gone, and I was the only one in there, and I left around noontime, and nobody else was coming in there. So it was just the two of us at that point. I don't know what transpired in the afternoon, but there was just 2 of us in there. I don't know what went on before 10 o'clock, but at that point, there was just 2 of us till noontime, and that was it. And this load of wood, this cutting, is only going to be for a couple of months anyways, at the most, maybe 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and it's done. That thing's going to be cleared out because people like me like to burn wood and take the wood and not have to pay for the oil. So I think it's not a case where I would hate to see it run year-round for you. That would be terrible. I can understand that. But I would try to get, some reasonable hours. No Sunday,
Right.
maybe something like 9 to 2 on a Saturday, And during the week, you'd have to figure something out, no cutting before 9 o'clock, and then maybe cutting it off if you want to give it to people that work, later in the day than 5 o'clock, but that would be it, But I don't think it's gonna go on forever. I think this thing is just gonna.
Mother Nature's gonna determine how it goes.
And the noise factor is gonna be there when the trucks start pulling in to pull this wood out that we're not allowed to cut. That's gonna be a noise factor too, when you have trucks coming in to load up and remove this wood. So I don't think there's any
Is
way
there
around
potential to put a sound
the yard
barrier up?
having, a limit on noise.
Dave, is there potential to put a sound barrier up?
Well, I'd like to make two comments to sort to your point and to try to answer your question. Earlier, it was stated that the woodpile is never there. It's been there since the time we've been there. There used to be a policy in town where I think it was a run through the Council on Aging. We used to actually split firewood and bring it to elderly and residents that needed it, that were in need of assistance, fuel assistance. And that got to be unmanageable by the COA. And then after that, it was decided to keep a pile of wood for residents at our facility for their taking. The pile generally stayed there for quite a while. In fact, I would say half of the material rotted before it ever got used. So there was a pile there. It was much closer to the roadway, and years ago, from complaints on not only noise, but possibly the aesthetics, we moved that pile as far back as we could in our facility, away from, the other pile was right near where the wood chip pile is now. So we moved it back to get it away from the road, to try to,
You moved it back.
yeah, get it as far away as we could from the houses that were nearby. I don't know how much that reduced the noise from a chainsaw, but in the past, there was never this much chainsaw work going on at our facility. Like I said, half the pile would rot, and then some of the big stuff, no one was equipped or wanted to come in for one large piece. They would just leave it there, and it would have to get hauled away, and we'd pay to get rid of it.
Do you know what the other towns that are in the same predicament as us are doing, that have actually more trees than us?
Belchertown hasn't done anything, and
Oh, they haven't cut anything down yet?
no, they didn't appropriate any funds at all. I think they were waiting to see. We applied for the MVP grant, didn't get it. So I shared that with them, so I don't think they're going that route. But
And then anybody we did try that disaster relief, and we were told that the insects is not a disaster. We did try to get funds for that, and we were denied for that. Just so you know, we're not trying to use all the town's money.
Just give me a second, please. So where I am with this, and I know we can go on and debate this back and forth. I'm going to hear the same argument from both sides. And I understand, where Dave's coming from, as well as you need to get the wood out of there. And I think somehow we have to come up to a happy medium. And I think looking at where maybe we designate 2 Saturdays a month for something to go in there to cut. For those people who don't work, who can't get their money through Friday. I'm not a fan of someone going on the property when no one from the town is there and it's not open for business. So, after 3:30 when they close, they close. And I think during the week, we should be looking at too, is certain days during the week that they're allowed to cut wood. And that's being respectful to the residents that live around there as well, so they can plan accordingly. So if they know on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you cut wood, so we're just throwing out days there. So they understand that's gonna happen, but it's not every single day during the week. And like I said, unfortunately, the highway department, it's set right in a residential area. There's houses all around that area, and we gotta be respectful for that piece too. And you can always have the option too, if people wanna haul it out, but as the gentleman said, it can be expensive to start hauling the wood out there, but that is an option to them if they wish to do that. So I think if we look at 2 Saturdays a month, You know, and they'll be noted what Saturdays they are, and maybe we'll look at from a 9 a.m. to a 2 p.m. type thing. You know, and I would like to have someone from your staff, Dave, be there while this is going on, because again, I would like to have someone from your department there when we have people on the grounds.
Conversely, would we be able to organize almost a mass cutting weekend where it might be, unfortunately, 12 straight hours, Saturday, Sunday, of noise, but then we can decimate a portion of that pile, so it's already cut for people to come and take it.
But I think the people who are cutting it are taking it.
No, I understand that they are.
Saying consolidate them.
Consolidate that into 2 days. And then hopefully we could get enough cut for everybody that wants to take the wood, where we then have weeks of quiet.
Two problems with that is you're putting a lot of people with chainsaws in a very close proximity to one another, and you have to separate, because you can't pile the stuff up and let people, you know, try to cut and logs be falling on people, and you're asking for somebody to get hurt by putting too much in a concentrated area. Spreading it out a little bit, I think, is safer, but the only thing that I would ask is that we try to make a policy that's somewhat easy that we can put on a sign saying no chainsaws between this and this time, without writing a book,
Right.
because it's going to get really complicated to try
That's what I'm
to
saying. So if we
accomplish this.
We could, seeing as what dates, what Saturdays we're looking at, if the board agrees on that, they can be listed, and what days of the week and the hours during the week, so people know. You can even have a handout when people come and give it to them, and we have a sign made that'll be put right out in front.
Well, I think even getting this out on the camera,
Yeah.
that we'll be glad to. Right now is a good time for us. If you show up with a truck, we'll gladly help people load it out.
You can't put any asphalt down. You can't do much road work.
And no, as long as it's not snowing, we're there. And if we're going to be in a lull with generating more lumber, we have usually a machine there that can help
Let's get the
residents.
last gentleman right there, right in his hand, he hasn't talked yet. You say your name and put the.
Thank you. Thomas Roussel, 140 Carver Street. When I first moved to this town, it was more of a farm community than it is a residential community like it is now. And we didn't have noise restrictions of zoning, et cetera, that we have now in this town. So I know that we have to have a compromise. I used to cut my own firewood off Ed Shalosky's land. Back then, he would ask you to sign an affidavit. I don't know how legal it was, but you signed it was for your own personal use, and if you got hurt, he was not responsible. Basically, that was it. And I think that if maybe the town came up with some kind of a similar rule, you expressed liability for injuries, maybe if the board could come up with some rules that the wood was for your own personal use, not for resale. Granby residents only, and these hours are subject for negotiation because I hear a lot of different proposals. I had come up Monday through Saturday, 8 to 4, okay? Maybe Saturday can be cut back. I didn't know the noise restriction was 9 o'clock. I thought it was 7.
No, it's actually 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, 8 a.m. I thought it was 7. I wasn't aware that it had changed. And the essence of trying to keep some of the noise down, it would be chainsaws only, nobody bringing in a trailer-towed wood splitter, which is another engine that's going to be running, okay? If you've got something that's 40 inches in diameter, bust it with a couple of wedges or a maul. Try to keep that noise down. Come up with some kind of a form that says the town is not liable for injuries. Now, you could have that drawn up legally here, and if somebody wants the wood, they can come down here to this office and sign the register that they have read that, possibly get a permission slip at that time that says, so if somebody from Belchertown or South Hadley's not in there getting the wood, if somebody wanted to check on them, maybe a cruiser going by or Dave or something, and post that same notice of rules at the gate. And residents, taxpayers getting the town wood has been a past practice since I can remember. So if we can compromise on this, Dave can get rid of his wood pile. People like me and this man over here, I don't remember his name,
Bob.
want to go in and get a landscape trailer load of wood on a weekday or a Saturday. You have to have a little bit on there Saturday for the people that work Monday through Friday, so they'll have the opportunity to get some also. And I don't know where Dave's gonna come up with money in his budget to have one of his guys posted there on Saturday monitoring the situation. I don't think that's physically feasible. Thank you.
What do you think, Dave?
I think we got to do some kind of compromise here.
Do 2 days a week or one
I
day
was
Saturday?
thinking Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday,
Well, how about Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday?
Tuesday, Thursday.
That way you get a day break, it's not continuing.
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Thursday.
Thursday,
I was
Saturday.
thinking during the week, 10 to 3, week on Saturday, 9 to 3.
I've got no problem with those hours.
That allows people who want 3 days to come in,
Mm-hmm.
give the residents 4 days of quiet,
Yeah, and they get 3 days of cutting.
3 days of cutting, and the hours, unfortunately, during the work week, the hours would interfere with anybody who worked from home, but we still have to fit everybody through.
I wouldn't do it every Saturday. Again, I don't think it's fair to the people that live around there. Every Saturday we can have something that
So Tuesday, Thursday, every other Saturday?
I'm thinking we can do 2 Saturdays a month, whether it's every other Saturday or it's two, I think we need to have a break where someone can have a full weekend of not listening to chainsaws and stuff like that, And even, and again, there's just things we can look at. It's 3 days a week and, I don't know, maybe, not to make it hard on people, I know it gets confusing, but if we that's why I like to set these are the dates and times when you can come in. So maybe one week we do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and the off weeks when we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. I don't want to get too confusing, but the people still get the 3 days in there that they need a week. It also helps out Dave. And some people that work, they may have Monday or Tuesday off one week, so it helps them out as well. If we kind of split it up, now we're kind of, we're splitting it up so that people, I think it's a fair thing on one side where people have different opportunities to get it. Because within a 2-week period, you're done it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
What if we split the locations and have different set days in each location? That way you're not changing all the time. So in other words, go to Dufresne's if you want to cut on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and go to our shop Monday, Wednesdays, or whatever.
When will you have some trees that do frames?
The next time we generate, we could bring some to Dufresne, or we could bring a few loads there now to get started.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea. One place gets 3 days a week, then the other one get the other 3 days a week, and everybody stays away from Sunday.
That way there, one resident isn't seeing everything.
Everything, right.
Fair.
I think it's a good idea.
Plus you cut down on the noise, putting it in 2 different
No,
places
yeah.
instead of having, because as you condense the days, you end up with more people in your yard,
Yeah.
Well, it's understood, but we're also thinking again of other people that live around there, so they're not
Yeah.
hearing the chainsaws every day, and understandable when someone's trying to plan something on a weekend or something like that. And remember, this is going forward, because come June, and if the town reappropriates some more money to taking out these trees, now we're talking during the summer, when people are having cookouts and stuff, people having parties and stuff like that. And that's what I want to be, conscious of, that could, unless we're going to be looking at this again in 3 or 4 months from now.
I would probably wait till fall when we have time to work with Northern, because if we hired just Northern, their productivity is going to be much lower than going in with a larger crew with heavy equipment to move.
But even the
and
fall,
haul.
there's still, it's different different in mid-February
Yeah.
versus September. It's different what people do around the house and outside of work.
When he doesn't have to use his Chapter 90 money and get rid of it.
No, I understand.
know, people
I
there
understand
for
what you're
that.
saying.
We're busy doing roads in
Yeah.
the summer, so.
Given that at least Dufresne's has more of a natural sound barrier with the trees, would the board be willing to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the first and third Saturdays of the month at Dufresne's? And then at the highway department, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and the second and fourth Saturdays.
I've got no problem as long as we split it up. But I don't think we have to have anybody, as long as they sign their liability release form. I don't think we have to have town employees stationed there.
No, I don't think I don't think we do either, as long as we have a legally binding release form.
I'm not concerned with someone being on town property as far as Dufrane's Park, but I'm concerned with someone being on the property of the highway department when there's thousands of dollars worth of equipment sitting around that yard. That's my
The only
concern.
thing he's got outside, to my knowledge, is plows. Everything
No,
else
we
is
No.
have a lot of,
There's a
we have a
lot
lot
of
of
equipment in the back.
attachments out back too.
There's attachments, stuff like that, and, you know, that's more my thing there. It's a lot of valuable stuff, and it's just like any other
So that would mean,
town property.
do we just want to take Saturdays off of the highway department in general? And that,
No, I think Dave,
Because you have people who work.
Right.
but if we
Work
leave
Monday through
Saturdays
Friday.
at Dufrane's,
In other words, every Saturday at Dufrane's, and only a couple of days during the week at the highway department.
So you're gonna have cutting 4 days a week at
how bad would that
Dufrane's?
impact your budget?
Monday,
have someone
Wednesday,
there.
Friday, and then the first and
Yeah, wait,
third
someone-
Well, I was saying every
Saturdays.
Saturday.
It could-
at
it may-
Dufrane's.
I
it
wouldn't
may
do
just
every
be-
Saturday.
If we're gonna
because-
take away the
5 days.
Saturdays.
It's not only the
highway
budget though, it's
department.
my guys. There's
Well,
only 6
Glenn
of
was
us, and
proposing 2 Saturdays
like
a
the
month at
lawn
the
those
highway
days, it's
department,
hard.
so,
Then he also wants somebody there to get paid.
right, which is what I'm saying. So if we just move those 2 Saturdays at the highway department over to Dufrane's,
Yeah, well, you already have 2 Saturdays.
no. 2 Saturdays a month. So in Glenn's thought process.
Dave's thinking it might be hard to have people there on Saturdays at the highway department.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
And again, my thing is, I don't want, we can vote whoever you guys feel that you want to vote, but I don't like having people on the town property when there's expensive equipment and stuff like that back there in that whole area. I don't-
See, I
I
was
don't
under
like
the
that.
impression it was under lock and key.
There's no lock, it's wide open.
It's not fenced in, but most of the equipment, most of the attachments that are back there are very heavy. No one could pick those up and walk away with them.
Nobody's stolen anything yet when they come get their sand, have they?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Dave would have said something. if
I
they
mean,
did.
No, we,
You know, I'd
We-
like a new dump truck, you know, the keys in.
Okay, the last one, because we're gonna end this.
Kathy has something in the back.
I just have a question to clarify, if you're doing Dufrane's on Saturdays, is this during the summer, from the spring to the summer? We have, that's not fair to anybody who
No.
rents the park.
Rents the
No,
park.
we would have it cleared out before.
Okay, because we start renting, first of May.
I hadn't thought that far, because I had questioned for Charter Day, we would have to have it cleared out by the
We would
end of
start
May.
renting First of May, so that's not fair to people who
You're
are
right.
paying good money to have a party there with chainsaws going on all the time.
my thoughts, Kathy, would be to maybe put it somewhere near where that loading dock area is. And it's not really close to the pavilion.
But it's still close as for houses, for all the noise.
Yeah, you're not going to eliminate the noise, that's true, but I think if we keep it either on the loading dock side or on the other side of the driveway,
We could be done with, so we could look at Dufrane Park, take that in consideration, Kathy. We can be done with Dufrane's maybe by April, and after April, you don't put stuff there anymore.
Especially if we're not dropping them in the
yeah, I can keep the piles smaller at
Yeah.
Dufrane and keep it, because we've got to mow that lawn
Yeah.
and keep the lawn in decent shape.
The only thing, money we have coming in there, so if you take, and people are
Yeah,
paying for it.
yeah.
Well, I would be nervous about spreading the pile out too far. Like our yard, we've got a huge area that's disturbed now because we're dropping truckload after truckload in there. If we did that at Dufrane, it would damage the lawn where they park for charter days over a large area. So I'm thinking, in my mind, keeping it very, very much concentrated right as you come in that gate on the either side. That would be the only logical place to keep it and keep it small.
And done by May 1st.
Whatever the park committee and the board decide, you just let me know what you want to do. But my thoughts are to keep the piles a little smaller there, don't bring as much. But
You certainly don't want to have a wedding there and have all that noise going on.
Ambiance.
I don't think so.
You're right, Kathy.
well, we've got
I know Glenn's got another meeting and stuff at 5.
Yes.
Right now.
Glenn, are you agreeable to 3 days at Dufrane's, 2 days at the Highway Department?
I'm fine with that.
What about every other Saturday at Dufrane's, just so we can get a vote going before we start
I
voting?
think that's fine.
All right,
So you're doing Tuesday and
in that
Thursday
case,
highway?
I'm going to make a motion to allow cutting.
Before you do that, I'll ask a question. How much wood is at Dufrane's now?
There's no wood at Dufresne.
How much wood is anticipated to go to Dufrane's in between now and April?
Well, we don't have that much left in our budget,
That's
so
my
there's,
point. There
we
won't be
can bring,
anything
we
you
can
can pay
bring
me.
some
bring
there.
wood from the Highway Department
If we need to, we'll
over.
bring some wood there.
Yeah, and you can start
Oh,
dumping there
okay.
right away, so.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Why moving it again, it costed us money to move it again.
it is, but it,
Try putting some there.
my thoughts are if we don't allow people to cut on a Saturday at our facility, we really are hurting the people that work. So we should give them a small pile that they can work on anyway.
Right.
At least one truckload to get started, and if they, you know, if we need to bring more, we'll bring more. But until we get cutting
I
again.
just want to make sure there was something there to cut. before
Yeah, no, we
jump
can bring a load or
Oh,
two
okay.
there and get somebody started on a Saturday if they
Right,
need
get
to.
people started. You have to kind of mark the area off so people know where they can be doing stuff and cutting stuff. And as I think someone mentioned before too, you don't want people on top of each other as well.
There's not going to be a perfect solution for everyone.
No,
but
no,
we-
no,
We've got to try to
but
find
from when you're putting, you got to kind of decide,
reasonable
right, area
middle.
to put in there. Right, and that's why my thing is just have a happy medium because we want to be respectful on both sides. I mean, the
Do you
people
wanna
are
go later
that are
than
taking the wood
3
are
during the
definitely helping
weekday at
out
the
the
highway
town
department so some
as a
people can get
plus,
a
without
night?
a doubt.
Yep.
Well, what time is the Highway Department? What time is your
Seven
staff gone?
to 3:30.
That
during
goes
the
back
week.
to Glenn not wanting people.
Right, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as they sign the liability agreement, I don't care if anybody's there or not, my own personal opinion. I mean, we do that with contractors all the time in town. Tell me if I'm wrong, Dave. We don't watch the contractors.
All right, I'm just gonna make a motion so we can get this done with. You guys ready?
Go ahead, see what you got.
I'm gonna make the motion that we allow cutting at Dufrane's Park Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the first and third Saturdays of the month. At the Highway Department, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
What hours?
9 to 3.
At Dufrane's?
At the Highway Department, 9 to 5 at Dufrane's.
I'll try anything to begin with, and we can always alter it if it doesn't work out.
If we have to alter it, we can alter it, but we've got to get relief for residents that are involved, and we have to have
We gotta move that wood pile.
a way that residents can get what they want.
And I would just say,
Got to move
Jen,
the wood
that
pile.
9 to 3, to be consistent, so we're being fair to the residents that live in both areas.
So you
we're
want me
not-
to say 9 to
I
3
think 9 to
across
3
the
is
board?
across the board.
Okay. You want me to remake that motion then?
And I'd also give a cutoff date for Dufresne Park, because there's got to be a cutoff date. This is our motion, so there's got to be a stop date for Dufresne
I
Park.
forgot about that.
Well, if you just let me know, we can,
Just stop.
I can work that out with Chris.
He can work it out by no wood being,
Material there.
there won't be any
There
wood
won't
there
be
to
any
cut.
wood there? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, in that case, I'm changing the motion. Cutting will be allowed at Dufrane's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the first and third Saturdays of the month, 9 to 3. Cutting will be allowed at the Highway Department Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 3.
I'll second Jen's motion.
Any more discussion on the wood cutting motion?
The liability first?
Yeah, I think everybody has to sign it. We gotta get that in there too.
Yeah.
Everybody's,
All right, adding that, all persons either at Dufrane's or at the Highway Department must sign a liability waiver.
right, and they can come up to Kathy here and sign it, and they have to have it with them, so if the police ask them for it, they've got it. And that, the police can go around and do the checking.
Oh my God, that motion is too long for me to repeat.
I'm not asking the police to go around, see if you have a
Well,
liability.
who's gonna check?
If they get hurt, then we've got the liability waiver.
They
That's what
shouldn't be
it's-
on the property, that's it. And that's what the sign can say on it too, Dave, when we make the sign. It'll Say
Okay.
right on the sign.
I just wanted some way to make sure that we can, some way to validate they actually do have a liability waiver. That's all I'm trying to say. You got it all written down, Chris? You want to repeat it, Chris?
The affidavit's probably gonna require legal opinion.
Yeah.
Before it can be signed, so someone can't show up tomorrow morning looking to sign an affidavit.
It's got to go through Brian O'Toole.
Okay. Well,
Logistics.
that's the problem, because you're gonna want an attorney to look at it, to make sure it's binding.
Okay, what if we stop all cutting for a week?
We
in
already
order to
have.
give ourselves,
We already have.
I thought it was starting up again. So we've put a temporary
Well, we have,
moratorium on
since
it?
our last meeting, we haven't allowed any cutting.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just while no one was there.
No, there's been no cutting at all
Okay.
when
Been
you were out sick.
barricaded.
Okay, so then we just let it go for another week like that?
I don't want to let it go another week, I know, and the
Until
reason,
people can get to it.
the reason I'm saying is because we've been doing it now, and I understand that. We're talking about, how does that affect you another week?
It won't, because we're pretty much on hold
On
this
hold?
week.
All right, well,
So-
that's not going to affect you that much then. But I'd like to make sure that if we do send it to town council to look at, there is a quick turnaround. We're not, where this next Monday, this is a done deal, and we're moving forward. So,
Okay, is that the motion we have?
Do I have to repeat it again? Okay,
No,
thank God.
Chris has got it.
Chris, you got it all?
Chainsaw use or cutting operations will be allowed at the highway department.
Department on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 3. Dufresne Park, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the first and third Saturdays of a month from 9 to 3.
Do you want to second it?
Prior to being allowed to cut, they need to come here and receive and sign a waiver or an affidavit regarding liability for potential injury or damage to their equipment on the property. Okay, and then we will issue them some sort of a form saying that they have completed the waiver.
And the signal that this is all into effect can be some wood is at Dufresne's Park. So if they want to go out and check it, they don't need to call Kathy till it comes back.
no, I want to make sure we have this in place for next Monday. So that's,
Oh, you just want the word.
well, I do, because if not, this is going to drag on, so I want to make sure that town council knows we're all squared away. We have the forms, so people can say, hey, they can start over, go in there and start cutting the wood.
And I'm just going through town council, I'm not going through
Our insurance agent, because they'll say no.
Did you just say that?
So, okay. So I'll second Jen's motion as read by Mr. Martin.
Any further discussion on this motion at this time? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And since that's all the agenda, unless you two have something, because I know you got another meeting to
I'm
go.
Sounds
going to
like
make
you
a
have a meeting.
motion that we end the meeting.
I'll
this
second
time.
Glenn's motion.
Any more discussion on adjourning the meeting? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye.